This time in her life, she started to feel happy. She said she wanted to be a boy.
At that moment, she said, I do not want to be a girl. I want to be a boy. So I said, okay, are you sure? Because there's no going back after. And he said, yes, he said, yes, I am sure that is what I want to do.
Shedding the female persona of Brenda he was forced to portray, he renamed himself David and embarked on his new life as a boy. At the age of 13, finally aware of her family's terrible secret that she'd been born a boy but raised as a girl, Brenda Rimer decided she wanted to be a male and changed her name to David.
When Brenda became David, he was very gentle. And I apologized to him. Told him I was sorry. And he says, Mom, I know that you and Dad only wanted the best for me. And I love you very much for caring so much about me.
He started making friends at school.
I don't think he was that shy. I think he was more withdrawn from people. He was more scared. And it was a very good friendship. He was not asking for much, just for me to be there and be his friend.
Life for David was looking up. He'd undergone reconstructive surgery to make him a man again. He now had a gender he was comfortable with. And he'd also received money as compensation for the botched circumcision. His thoughts now turned to the future.
I got to thinking, maybe I was too young to think that. What would I be like if I was a father? I could be a good husband.
But David was still unable to have children. Then he was introduced to Jane Fontaine, a single mom with 3 children.
And we hit it off ever since. Like 2 peas in a pod.
I'd say maybe 6 months into the relationship, I knew that it was meant to be.
On September 22nd, 1990, David Rimer married Jane Fontaine. His friend, Harold Norman, was his best man.
This was something he never thought he would ever have. And he was just simply tinkle pink about the whole thing.
At last, it seemed David had a normal life.
I would have to say he was a great father, a wonderful husband, and he was very romantic, David. I had to say that we always did little love letters throughout the years and kept it and hid them throughout the house, and we had a lot of good times.
But there was one thing that was still not right in David's life. His relationship with his twin brother, Brian. The problems between them began when Brian learned the truth about his twin sister.
Well, once I told Brian what the relationship really was between him and his ex-sister, Brian sort of abandoned Brenda.
For Brian, this was the beginning of a mental disturbance that would develop into schizophrenia. Then something happened when they were adults that would draw the twins together. David discovered their former psychologist, Dr. Money, continued to publicize the case as a success, proof that a boy could be raised as a girl.
I was appalled, disgusted, and angry when I heard about it. because there was nothing further than the truth.
You're a cute little boy.
3 decades after this misguided experiment.
To try to prevent others from being traumatized as they had been, David persuaded his brother Brian to go public with him and speak about their ordeal.
David said, we have to do this and stop Dr. Money from doing what he's doing. He's ruined our lives. We can't let him ruin any more. So Brian agreed.
The experiments that he made us do, going into sexual positions with no clothes on, and taking pictures of us, how degrading for a 7-year-old.
Shortly after their appearance in the documentary, Brian's mental health deteriorated. In July 2002, he was found dead in his apartment. It was not clear whether his death was due to an accidental overdose or suicide. It appeared that once again, David's life was about to take a turn for the worse. After finally deciding to reveal the incredible ordeal of having been born a boy but raised a girl, David Rimer's life takes a tragic turn. He'd asked his twin brother to back up his claims of what they had endured as children at the hands of their former psychologist, Dr. John Money. Shortly after they went public with their story, his brother Brian was found dead.
David used to come here quite often, bring him flowers, and I guess I don't know exactly what he talked about, but he came here and he talked to him quite a few times. It must have been at least 4 or 5 times a week.
Brian's death affected all aspects of David's life, even the parts that he'd been happy about.
Dave had a lot of time on his hands, and he got into deep thinking.
It was the beginning of a series of disasters to befall David.
First, his brother died, whom he grieved over terribly. Then he made a very bad investment where a man absconded with the money. That was quite a lot of money. And he couldn't find a job. He was 38 years old. Who's going to hire you at semi-skilled work?
Ultimately, all these problems affected his marriage.
I needed some separation time. I knew that we needed separation time. And I remember telling him, you know, I said, I love you. I said, I'm not asking for divorce. I said, but separation time, I think we need it, so.
He cried on his friend's shoulder for about 3 or 4 hours. And he says, I can't make my wife happy. My wife I just can't make her happy.
In May 2004, 38-year-old David Rimer left his parents' house for the last time. He took a shotgun with him and killed himself.